The relentless pursuit of more and more and more growth can actually destroy your consulting business and your health. In this episode, I'm discussing why integration is the key to sustainable growth. I'll share why my year begins with the spring equinox in mid-March, what you can learn from your clients about how much change is actually sustainable, and how I use ChatGPT to reflect on my day and my week. If you found progress in your business difficult to sustain, then this episode is for you. Hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. Hey, it's Samantha Hartley, and this season we have been talking about expansion, all things big and bigger, going out and getting stuff and doing stuff and charging more money and working with more people and all of the ways that we expand in our businesses. And today I want to slow it way down. Talk about just doing nothing for a little while and the importance of integrating all of the changes that happen in our businesses. I've had clients in the past who were so gung-ho on a massive expansion that at the end of a year where they added so much revenue, there would just be this massive contraction. And sometimes they would need to rest for a year or more than a year, and they couldn't add anything. They couldn't even sustain the kind of change that they had brought in. And I have had that happen in my own business, which is why I teach so much to be so intentional and careful around how much we do. You know, massive expansion has to be tempered. And the thing that we're tempering that with is intentional integration of that massive change. So how do we do that? That's what I'm talking about today. As I'm recording, we're in late spring. So a lot of people start January 1st and they're like, I'm ready to jumpstart on this year. I'm ready to just attack this year. They make goals and resolutions and all those things. And I am not that person. I noticed a few years ago that I really don't start the year that way. And I really start to get into my gung-ho phase about March, which is when the spring equinox is. That means it's the time that officially spring begins. So January 1st, I'm still wintering. So right about the time that Christmas holidays start in December, and we take a couple of weeks off for the year end, all the way through to mid-March, I'm wintering. I'm in my hygge phase, the stay in your house and tend to yourself. That's what I'm doing during those months. And I will sometimes notice that my other clients have this as well. I even had a colleague who, in her newsletter this week, she mentioned that this is her fallow year. A fallow year, a time when we're just tending to ourselves. We're allowing the soil to replenish the nutrients in itself. We're just being with ourselves. What does that mean? It means no new initiatives, no huge proactivity, no launching, none of that. Now, interestingly, it doesn't mean I stopped doing business. I got a big new client. I'm bringing in lots of cool new work. I'm working on great initiatives, but it doesn't mean that we're being proactive. If you align with the calendar year and you're ready to go be gung-ho in January, that's fine. But I want you to notice if you have these kind of natural cycles, because for me, they're about integration. And specifically when you have massive change happening in your business, the way to make sure that it doesn't just get fumbled away is to be intentional about integration. So integration is really bringing the experiences, learnings, behaviors that we've gone out and experienced, we've had them during expansion. You want to bring those in, synthesize them, figure out which of these things are built in as habits now, which of these things have worked for me, but they're not serving me anymore, and which of the things do I need in order to sustain change the way I want it to be. That has to be an intentional process. Too often people will, for example, read a business book, put it on the shelf, move on, read a new business book, move on, read a new bit, and they're all about the acquisition of learning, and they're not about the implementation of what they took away from those books. I've also seen people shop coaching programs where they will do this one and then do this one and do this one and this one. And I notice that not much changes in their business and they're not implementing anything that they've really learned. So we can be acquisitive about knowledge or information or coaching programs or whatever the thing is without actually metabolizing it. Metabolizing is another metaphor that I'll use for the process of integration. It means that we have to give our bodies time to use the nutrients from the thing that we're bringing in. So if you've had a massive change here in your business, there was a lot that needed to be metabolized. That's a lot of bringing in new experiences, new learnings, new behaviors, and how do those become a part of your organism? For those of us who work with larger organizations, you may have seen this kind of thing happen. And it's why I say that transformational engagements need to happen over the course of a year, because no organization, in my experience, can metabolize a lot of different things at the same time. Big organizations can really only have a single learning and then implement that throughout, per quarter, once a quarter, they can do that. If you're going to have a lot of little changes happening, you need a long duration and you need a lot of repetition for a large organization to metabolize that. And for most of us, we're small organizations of 1 to 5 people. So for me to metabolize that kind of change, for me to integrate massive change, it takes a lot of intentionality. I had a dream one time. I was at a ticket counter and I put my money through and I was buying my tickets, and then they gave me the tickets, and then I looked down and I had a lot of coins in my hand. And I didn't understand what the dream was about until I was telling it to someone else. And I said, oh, they gave me too much change. And then I heard myself and I was like, too much change. So sometimes our psyche will tell us, slow down, give me a chance. Give me a chance to be with this and figure out what has just happened to me. There's another fun example from dog training. When you do a lot of dog training, a trainer once told me, if you've done a new behavior or a new trick or something you're working on, after a 20-minute session, give them some time in their crate to think about what they just did, and give them some time to metabolize, integrate the things that they've been working on. So that's why we do integration, because we want to take the really valuable experiences and learnings we've had, and we want to sort through them, figure out what we want to do with them, and then we want to integrate them, metabolize them, have them become part of us, part of our organism. How do you do that? The first thing that we do is reflection. And I've talked this season and in past seasons about the importance of taking the time to stop and reflect on well, what just happened? And really being with that. Sometimes you don't even have to ask that question. You just have to reflect on the year that was. Reflect on the VIP day I just had. Reflect on that big week retreat we had with the client. And when you do, things will bubble up to your mind. And those are many of the top of mind experiences, the big takeaways. Then you can journal on those. Then you can spend more time with them, but reflecting on what the heck just happened to us? And how do I feel about that? And how did I feel? And what else did I notice? And how did so-and-so take that? Really, really bringing those things forward in intentional reflection is going to be the way to be able to do something with what happened, to be able to sustain the things you want and let go of the things that you don't. The second piece of this is identifying your key learnings. In the progress that we made and in the challenges that we overcame, what happened? What did I learn? What are our key takeaways from that? What are the lessons? What's interesting is that I'll ask at the end of every meeting when I'm coaching my clients, what were your takeaways from today? And for me, it's one of the hardest questions to answer. I do a lot of reflection, and to look at a meeting is pretty easy, but to look at my day and how eventful it was, a lot of times I'm in the experience. And so it's a little hard for me to say, well, based on how I'm reflecting, the 5 major things that occurred today, I don't know, what is my takeaway from today? So I actually set up a ChatGPT, a personal one that you can program yourself. I think it's in the 4th version of ChatGPT, the paid version. And I call it Soul Guide. And I have a board of advisors in there. I set it to act as Brene Brown and Eckhart Tolle and an Enneagram expert. And then at the end of each day that I want to reflect on, I'll just say, help me process my day. And I've programmed it to ask me certain questions. So then I go through what those things are and I can reflect, but what GPT helps me to do is synthesize it. Now, this is the thing that I do for my clients all the time, but I find it difficult to do for myself, is find the patterns in my own actions and behaviors. So if you'd like to know how I'm doing that, feel free to contact me through the socials and I'll let you know how I've set that up. But You can do this with a coach. You can do this with a friend. You can do this with journaling, a partner. But the important thing here is that you reflect on a consistent basis and you study your learnings often enough that you see patterns in them and you can decide what you want to synthesize and what you want to integrate into yourself. So once I've taken those insights, the next step is action. Yay, finally, we're back to my comfort zone. So what are the things that I want to do? What are the things that I want to take forward? The doing is often a lot clearer once you have reflected on it. So integration is, of all of the things that I have had happen, of all of the things that I've learned, these are the things that I want to have become habitual, have become habits, and they will become a part of me, my organism, and the organization that I run. My team will also metabolize these behaviors and these changes and these learnings. In my experience, when a consultant does these kinds of things, then they can sustain the changes. So one of my clients, for example, came to me and had been stuck at $150,000 per year. And it's a great amount of money if that's where she wanted to be, but she had a goal of growing. Every time she'd get a burst of growth, she would freak out and then notice that it would go back down. So how can I sustain the growth as I'm doing it, she said. When we implemented these consistent integrations, she would add a little bit of revenue and then take time to integrate it. No new clients, no new anything. Then she would add a new client and she would integrate it. She would take pause, take time to feel what it was like to have this many clients, feel what it was like to serve them, have this kind of a situation in her calendar, working with that level of work. Then a new client. So intentionally adding clients and adding revenues, layering them one on another so that it wasn't like quick double or quick 5 times your business. She was able to gradually grow the business in a way that was sustainable for her so that those revenue levels would sustain. When I mentioned the wintering that I'm doing, I've had a number of clients that will do something similar. Hey, here's a ton of new growth in my business. And now they'll say to me, is it okay that I don't feel like doing something right now? It's not just okay, it's ideal. You take your time until you're really feeling that outward action-taking energy again, the proactive energy. It will return to you, and it'll return more effectively when you're intentional with the integration of the times in between. If you just stumbled upon my channel, or if you're watching this video right now on YouTube, would you please take a moment to hit the subscribe button and also ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss any future episodes. Integration for your business is going to be a massive change maker for you, helping you to metabolize the changes that you've made in your business so that you can grow with intention. And with that, I am wishing you a profitable and joyful consulting business. Thank you for watching. To learn more about how to build a consulting business where you work exclusively with perfect clients on transformational engagements and build a profitable and joyful consultancy, then please subscribe to our channel and be sure to click the bell to get notifications when new episodes come out.